What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another video. I am the Hobbyist, and today we are going to be doing some servo related upgrades to my Traxxas Tmaxx Classic. And when I say servo related, it is going to be getting a new servo, well, new to it anyway. This is the PowerHD WP23. You may recognize this from my last video as it came out of my team associated RC8. As well as the new steering servo, all three servos are getting aluminum servo horns. These two are the factory team steering arms. These are going on the steering servo and shifter servo. And then this steering servo horn is a double-sided one for the throttle servo, and I'll show you how that works when I install it. But without further ado, let's get right into the upgrades. So the first thing I'm going to do is swap out the servo horns, actually. So we're going to do the two top servos here. I'm going to do a different camera angle so that you guys can see better, but we are going to be upgrading the throttle servo horn and the shifter servo horn because they are both plastic and they are both starting to strip. So let's start with the throttle servo. So I've never actually taken apart the throttle assembly on here, so I'm not entirely sure how it comes apart. I'm assuming I see a nut here, so my plan is to take off the servo horn off of the servo and go from there. That screwdriver is too small. Take two. There we go. Remove that. And this pops off. So now I'm not entirely sure. So maybe it's just this nut here. Let's see. All right, well, it's loosening. And all right, well, that's one linkage off. I'm going to put the nut back on so I don't lose it. And then we got to do the other linkage. This is the brake linkage. Okay, you really have to hold the line, otherwise it tries to twist, and you probably don't want to bend these lines. Although I guess you can replace them with like some piano wire or something along those lines. But there we go. That's disconnected. The linkage is off, or the servo horn is off. So now it's time to unbox this new servo horn. This servo horn is composed of a few parts. This is the base of the servo horn, and it's got the actual servo spline, and then it also has a clamping screw right here. Then you have the top of the servo horn, which has the corresponding cross pattern, and it goes on like so. Now, it also comes with some screws, I'm guessing for different types of servos. So like this is the small one and it won't fit, but then this one will, and then this one goes through here. So yeah, it all goes together like so. I'm gonna actually put it on off camera because I'm not entirely sure how this goes, and I'll put you back on once I figure it out. Okay, so I ran into a slight problem. The threads on these little, I don't even know what you could realistically call them, but the linkage mounts, they don't fit. So I had to drill a hole that was a little bit wider. But that's okay because it's supposed to rotate, and the thread's threaded in, but then once it got to the flat part, it just stopped. So I drilled a slightly wider hole, and that should, I've tested, it does now fit. So now I'm going to actually try to get this together. All right, so I've gotten everything hooked up. It went smoothly after drilling out these holes. Make sure that you leave them a little loose so that it rotates. So now I guess we can test it out and see if my trim is still intact. I didn't mess with anything on the servo itself other than the horn. So let's find out real quick. Let's turn it on. Okay. So let's see. All right, the throttle's looking good. Looks like the brake needs some serious adjustment though. Let's see here. Yeah, definitely need to adjust the brakes quite a bit. So let me adjust there. How about that? Is that a little bit better? Looks like the throttle needs a slight adjustment as well. So let's do that and see. All right, I'm going to call that good. So I'd say that the throttle servo has now gotten its new horn, and it works very well. It clamped on nicely. The screw and the spacer all fit correctly. I clamped it down. So now let's focus on the shifter servo. All right, so for the shifter servo, it is a, hang on, let me adjust this, is a pretty similar process. Here is a factory team servo horn. Now it is slightly longer. I'm noticing like it's the same length as the stock servo horn, but it doesn't have 3 mounting points. So I'm probably just going to have to mount it further out, which hopefully that won't affect it too much. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. But now I'm going to remove this servo horn and see if we can have similar luck in just minimal taking things apart. So let's pop that off. In fact, here I'm going to do this so that I keep it level. All right, so that the steering servo horn is level. So now I'll know where to put the new one back on. So that came off relatively easy. Let's take the, here we go. Sorry if the camera's shaking a little bit. The camera's kind of sitting on the tire of the Tmaxx. All right, that came off no problem. So now the question is, will this go in well? I'm looking. You know what? I think I'm actually going to grab the other servo horn. Hang on, let me just open it up here. Just looking at how thick that was, I'm going to use the other one. This one's much thinner, and that, yeah, that's going to fit much better, but it also looks like I'm going to have to drill this out. So I will put you back on once I've drilled out the servo horn. All right, so I drilled out the threads, and it should now fit just fine, which it does, so that's good. I think I need to flip it around here. Yeah, so I guess now it's a good idea to do a quick test fit. I might actually have to put it on the other way around, like that. And let's see. Yeah, it does kind of look like the piano, or the wire is going to rub. Let's see, it's fully extended now. I guess I'm going to try and cut this and see if I can make it fit better. All right, so I have gotten the servo horn on. I did just have to cut the wire a little bit shorter, and that's all right. Oh, before I put that on, this is also a clamping servo horn, so I have to put the screw through here and tighten that up. But other than that, it works really well. So I can now shift from forward to reverse without any issues. It's not rubbing on the servo next to it or anything like that. So I'm going to get this all tightened up, and then we'll focus on the steering servo. All right, so with that all tightened up, now it's time to work on the steering servo. So I'm swapping this out. It's got a cheap Amazon Chinese 20 kg no-name brand servo. I'm going to replace that with a Power HD 23 kg servo. So that's going to give it quite a bit better steering, especially considering, you know, these are big tires, so it needs a lot of power to turn them. So it's going to be pretty simple to unscrew the servo. The tricky part is going to be getting the wire out from underneath. So I'm pretty much going to do all of that off of camera, and I'll show you guys, I'll put you guys back on once I've got this servo out. All right, so I got the old servo removed. It did take a little bit to try and get all the wires through, but now it is time to put the new servo in. This is the Power HD 23 kg, as I've mentioned, and pretty simple to just pop it up through here. Whoops. Oh, it got cut on the steering arm underneath. Hang on. There we go. There. So now I got to screw that back in, get the servo all centered again, and then I'll flip it over and I'll show you guys putting on the new servo horn. All right, so I've gotten the servo in. I have gotten the trims all zeroed out. So I have now just got this. I've got the horn already on the steering arm. So now it is simply a case of getting the steering about centered. And I'm going to guess it's about, that's a little bit closer. All right, well, it's certainly got a lot more torque. So I am going to tighten this up and then we'll set up the trims. All right, so I've got the steering hooked up now and it's working much faster than the old servo did. So now I just got to set up the travel and then we will be all done. All right, so I've got the travel all set up and I have got the trims all centered. So now let me see if I can adjust this a little bit. Let's see here. You can kind of see the wheels a little bit better. This Power HD 23 kg is way faster than what was in there before. Yeah, way quicker. So this is a much better fit for the Tmaxx. It's got way more torque than the old servo did. So if you're looking for a new servo for your Tmaxx, I will recommend the Power HD WP23. And with that, I think it's time to wrap up. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment in the section below for what videos you'd like to see next. This Tmaxx has really gotten some TLC recently, so I am very excited come spring to drive it and see how much better it performs. But anyway guys, that is it for today, and I'll see you in the next one.